Let's return to This Week in America. Here's your host, Rick Bratton.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us coast to coast This Week in America. Even if you have a job, there's a good chance you'll want to find a new one. If you're actively looking for work or seeking to make a change, you know it can be quite stressful. It's similar to the uncomfortable feeling, or YIPS, that most golfers experience on the course. Well, in Conquer Your YIPS, Win the Employment You Target, How Understanding Golf Stress Defeats Job Search Stress, amateur golfer Chuck McConnell, with 20 years of career service experience in job transition, compares these two stresses to help job hunters, golfers and non-golfers alike, improve their perspectives while locating and securing great jobs. Whether you're unemployed, underemployed, or just seeking new opportunities, you'll get guidance that will help you. By looking at your job search in a new way, you'll be entertained and inspired to do the hard work that's necessary to conquer your YIPS. Charles Chuck McConnell earned an MBA from Kellogg School, worked in the advertising and marketing fields before joining SCC Williamsburg, where he heads transition management. Conquer Your YIPS, Win the Employment You Target, author Chuck McConnell, our guest on This Week in America. Chuck, welcome to the program. It's great to have you with us.
Well, thank you, Rick. Pleasure being here and having a chance to talk a little bit about how the stress in golf can be applied, once it's understood, to the stress that you have when you're interviewing for your next career position.
This is such an enlightening book, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation. This really was a very innovative way to approach this. What inspired you to write your YIPS and to put it in terms that we all can understand with golf? It's something that's very relatable. How did this whole start?
Well, it started with my clients, as when I'm working with them as a coach, counselor, mentor. Quite oftentimes, I will mention what I see on the golf course with my golf buddies. That ends up being how they end up screwing up occasionally because they know what to do, but some kind of a glitch happens just before they do it. That ends up being a YIP, where what they know they can do and want to do doesn't happen. But I see that same kind of an effect in when they're preparing for interviews. So I spend a great deal of time with my clients, making sure they understand looking for the next career position is not just a simple exercise to go through. It is something that requires attention, and it requires a lot of the same elements of building a business plan. Once we get into that and talk about it, and they understand they're building their brand when they're into an interview and talking about their next career spot, it's really important to make sure that branding of themselves comes through.
Chuck McConnell, our guest on the program. The book is called Conquer Your YIPS, Win the Employment You Target. The book's available at Archway Publishing. That's the publisher, available at a number of places. I'll give you that information. I'll give you actually a phone number for Chuck that you can get in contact with him, and give you his website as we go through the program. Chuck, why use the stress situations in a golf game to relate to recognizable stress that happens in executive search interviews? How did that come about?
Good question, Rick. Thanks. It's a problem for many of my clients. I've seen it over my 15 years working with executive clients in search. Many times they'll come in to search and they'll think it's a snap. It's something they don't really have to prepare for. And when they get into a tough interview situation, that's when it comes out as a YIP on the golf course. If you haven't prepared properly, it can be a real devastating situation when you're in a positive interview probability situation. So the same thing happens on the golf course, and I look at it as the steps in preparing for the golf game, and I think they're very similar. The elements of preparation for golf, it really starts with the grip. It goes into your stance, your platform. Are you balanced in your approach to making a golf shot? Many times when people get into search, they kind of started off like a whimsy. Well, I had no problem last time I was in search. I'm sure this one will be the same, but times have changed. So I found that opening up the door to the golf analogy can be a real help. When you're in search, things are very stressful to begin with. So I take time to relate the stress that I know will occur in interviews and in talking to potential employers, I open that up to something they can relate to. It takes a little bit of the edge off when we're going through simulated interview work, and I found it to be very helpful. But the grip, the stance, the platform, the attention to details, all of that plays in. And I found it to be very helpful for clients rather than reading a kind of a by the numbers book on
Yes.
career search,
Yes.
which there are many out there, 50,000 books on careering today. It's helpful to go in with something that is a little bit lighter, but also allows them to remember what work we do and remember some of the stressful situations that can occur both on the golf course as well as in the interview situation.
I mentioned in the introduction, this book is helpful for people who are golfers and understand this, and even non-golfers. Talk about the golf game comparisons may not be understood by all in the search. So how difficult was it to come up with a concept? I'm going to use them for career search analogies because they can really understand these.
Well, many people, even if they're not golfers, they use watching golf on television as kind of like their conduit to seeing something that's a real life situation. It's fun. I think it was a precursor to some of the reality shows on television today, where you get a chance to learn about the golfer, understand his perils and pitfalls. You have a chance to see him in a number of situations. You get a chance to meet his family as he wins a golf tournament. So it's very similar to something that people can relate to. The YIPS is a term that even for people who haven't used it regularly, non-golfers perhaps, they understand the term. And I found that it does communicate very quickly. Oh yeah, I've seen those YIPS with the professional golfers when they need to make a 4-foot putt and it just doesn't happen as they'd hoped. So the YIP is kind of a universal term, but the golf game is something that as an analogy to career search, I see that as something that's been very helpful for my clients, and it's resulted in a very strong understanding of what they're up against when they're talking to potential employers.
The book is so well written. The author is Chuck McConnell, our guest on the program. That's McConnell. Conquer Your Yips, Win the Employment You Target, How Understanding Golf Stress Defeats Job Search Stress, published by Archway Publishing. You can go there and find a copy of the book. The usual places as well. His website, Chuck's website is sccwilliamsburg.com. Phone number is 203-918-4391. Now, we've got that on the screen throughout the video. You'll find this on YouTube, the video version of the program. We'll have it on our website as well, and I'll mention that again before the program is over. The phone number there as well. Search preparation, planning, demand, focus, and practice. This is a unique concept. Is it understood by executive level searchers? This is sort of a different approach you're taking. How is it received by them?
Well, one reason that I've gone in this direction is because I hear it from my clients. I hear it from my golf buddies. When I talk to them about the YIP that just occurred on the golf course. So I know it's a universal concept that I wanted to flesh out in this book. The reviews I've had attest to the fact that this is something that can be related to career search. The main purpose of my book is to make sure people understand, those in search at the executive level, understand that this is not just a simple task. It is a stressful task when you're in executive level career search. It's nothing that you can just kind of blow off and say, well, I've done it before. Here we go. I'm going to do it again successfully. The times today, as everybody knows, with the pandemic and the shutdowns and the change in people's lives, certainly over the last year, has done nothing but exacerbate the problem of search. It's tough for those on the employment side to pay attention. It's tough for individuals in search to claim their brand and what they can do for the employer, which is critically important. I spend a lot of time with my clients making sure they understand they do have a brand. That brand can be communicated in a number of different ways, especially in social media today. We spend a lot of time perfecting and optimizing LinkedIn. That plus the webfolio that we create for our clients and the work we do in practice simulated interviews helps them get prepared and feeling comfortable. So when the stress does occur in that career interview, it can be overcome.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned the web portfolios, how dramatically things change. You've seen this for a number of years. I would think if your last search might have been 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's even changed during that period of time, hasn't it?
Dramatically. Yeah, in the old days, all you had to do was just crank out a resume,
Yes.
fire it off to recruiters or to potential employers or even to your network, and everything happens. Well, today, because of what I mentioned, there are a lot of disruptions going on in the career marketplace today. So having something that is optimized in establishing your brand is critically important. It didn't exist many years ago. But if you have it spelled out in not only your resume, which we perfect for our clients, but also the covering letter that is mandatory, you got to have one, but then into the social media, especially LinkedIn. When you're in search and a potential employer gets wind of the fact that you are looking for a new career position, the first thing they do is after they get a meeting with you and then your resume is in their hands, they will immediately, even before they read the resume or go to the web portfolio that encompasses all of your brand elements, your competencies, your particular professional skills, and how you work as a leader in your role. But they go to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is extremely important. Here again, you can't just blow it off. You have to spend time in optimizing it. And our experts in that area of search are quite good at making sure your story is told, that your success stories are there for them to review, the kind of problems you've solved. I mean, obviously in search, they're looking for somebody who can solve problems that either they might have or they might not have realized, but they're looking for someone who has the skill set and the competencies to come in, be a part of their team, be an active leader in what they're trying to do in their business development.
Chuck McConnell, our guest on the program, author of Conquer Your YIPS, Win the Employment You Target. The book, as I said, is highly innovative. It's a great read. It's entertaining. It's so informative. You're sort of like a coach there taking us by the hand and walking us through what needs to be done in this time period to be effective in your search. Golf problems compared to search obstacles, interesting, memorable for even the casual golfer. But is the concept maybe for some people too far outside the expected tactics? They're used to all those 50,000 other books that are out there that sort of go through the same formula. Yours is different, highly effective, but different. Talk about that aspect of it. Is it too far outside? When you were presenting this, what reaction were you getting?
Well, the book is only part of what we have to offer our clients. The book is kind of a composite statement of what it takes. It's in an easy to read format. It's got a comparison, an analogy, if you will, to the stress in golf, the kind of yip producing situations that can be found and experienced. But then it takes it over and flips it over to, now here are the kinds of things that relate to that particular hindrance or obstacle that you have in golf. So yeah, it is outside of the box. The reason for that is it's tempting for people in search, especially top executives who haven't been in a lot of search, to take their job search as something that is going to be very simple. We want to make it difficult for them to jump in, primarily because they have to relate it to the YIP situation and analogy. But by doing that, they realize this is a different approach. This is not just a didactic look at search and here are the steps one by one by one, but this is a new approach that emphasizes my skills, my professional capabilities, and the way we do it is to, in my mind, as a client of SCC Williamsburg, to understand here's what I have to do. It is a project. You have to take it just like a business plan and go through all the steps to make sure your purpose is understood by you, that the tactics you're going to use are there and very clearly stated. And yeah, they do relate to the golf situation, but then I can jump in and make sure with my staff that they understand very clearly, here is how you're going to go into the interview situation. Then we go into a series of interview simulations that make sure that they're comfortable answering very difficult questions, objective questions, difficult questions, but it's different from the usual book of career search advice. We spend a lot of time on behavioral competencies, how you act and develop as a leader, how that leadership resulted in the kind of successes that you're proud of and are going to be walking them through in the interview process.
It's so relatable. Can readers of your book, Conquer Your YIPS, by our guest on the program, Chuck McConnell, interpret how seemingly simple shots can be ruined by the heartbreak of stress? We're talking, again, about dealing with stress, whether it's a golf shot, whether it's in your search. Something very simple can really create stress and probably cost people a lot of jobs over the course of their lifetime.
Well, the biggest stress occurs when they end the interview, and then as I critique their interview style, which they relate to me, I see that they really haven't spent the time establishing their leadership as a producer of successes. That is extremely important. You have to go into any kind of a career search realizing you don't want to go in as a generic brand. You have to express yourself in a way that says, here's what I do. Here's what I have that I'm passionate about in working with employers and jobs that require a problem solution. Here's how I handle it. Here's what I do. Here are the very specific competencies that I bring to bear. Here are the metrics of what I deliver in some of the successes I performed in my entire career. So once you've realized that, then I can go back and spend time with my staff. Here are the reasons that you perhaps failed in that interview. Now let's work on that.
With us on the program is Chuck McConnell. He's the author of the book, Conquer Your YIPS, Win the Unemployment You Target. The book available, archwaypublishing.com. His website is sccwilliamsburg.com. So much more to talk about. A fascinating book, so well done. Great tips in here. We'll talk about more with Chuck after we pause for these messages. You're listening to This Week in America.
This Week in America is online. You can visit our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Scott Pinkerton, associate producer of This Week in America. Jay Anderson, segment producer. Ben Watson, webmaster. Otto Bechet, director of engineering and TV production. This Week in America produced and is a trademark of Blue Funk Broadcasting, LLC. For information on all of our guests and to listen to this week's show, our website again at thisweekinamerica.us. And I'm Sean Bratton, executive producer of This Week in America.